You think you know, but you have no idea. This is what it's like to be an older person in London.
An inevitable part of growing older is that eventually we all reach the end of our lives. Us Brits are notoriously reluctant to talk about death and dying, unlike in the Mexican culture, where remembering the dearly departed is a national celebration.
La celebración del Día de Muertos en México pues, es 2 días de celebración. El primer día, que es el 1 de noviembre, es para los niños. El segundo día es para los adultos. En México los cementerios están llenos de gente el 1 y el 2 de noviembre. En el cementerio la tumba la decoran con flores, con velas, con un pequeño altar también y la música que también les gustaba a los seres queridos. La celebración del Día de Muertos, en especial para México, pues es la ofrenda, que es lo más importante para cada hogar. Las familias ponen su ofrenda con diferentes tipos de cosas que les gustaban a sus seres queridos, pero pues todo tiene un significado. Las flores son para mostrar el camino a las almas que están llegando a la ofrenda. Las velas también tienen su significado pues, para alumbrar el camino al altar. La sal que se tiene que poner también en el altar, pues tiene también el significado para la purificación del alma. Y todo pues ya tienen sus comidas, sus platillos preferidos que les gustaba a esas personas cuando estaban aquí en vida. La celebración del Día de Muertos es para recordar a los seres queridos en una forma de cómo eran antes en vida, alegres y felices. Yo creo que aquí en Inglaterra no hablan de las personas que partieron por dolor o por recordarlos tristemente, ¿no? Pero para nosotros es recordarlos alegres y recordarlos siempre, tenerlos en mente, ¿no? Con las tradiciones y con las ofrendas que tenemos.
By contrast, here in the UK, we are much less open to discussing death and dying. Although 500,000 people die in England every year, only 29% have discussed their wishes around dying.
As a society, death is that dirty little secret that we all share. And nobody wants to address as being one of the most natural parts of life.
In this society, we're not good at talking about difficult feelings. We haven't been taught to talk about these things: grief, loss, death.
Ali and Caroline are end-of-life doulas. As the name suggests, in the same way that birth doulas support people through birth, end-of-life doulas support people through death. Since 2009, the end-of-life doula movement has flourished in the UK, with over 200 having been trained. Being death doulas, tell me a bit about that. What does that entail?
We are with people at end of life and we're there really as support. We will just do anything that the individual would like. So that can be personal care, it can be walking the dog, it can be housework, it can be sitting alongside the person and giving them emotional and spiritual and psychological support.
People worry about being alone when they die. There's a whole continuum that happens before a person dies, and actually people can feel incredibly alone while they're actually living. My job as an end-of-life doula is to address that, really, to address that sense of isolation prior to the actual death.
In recent years, London has seen the emergence of death cafes, pop-up cafes where people can gather and discuss death and dying.
Death cafes are amazing kind of pop-up cafes. They can happen anywhere, at someone's home, in a cafe on your local street.
People just come together to talk about death over tea and cake or a glass of wine.
They are very much about embracing life. They are a safe environment where you can have conversations about death, dying and bereavement. It's very much about death's association to life and how life-affirming those conversations can be.
When people do start talking about death, it's like a cork coming out of a bottle, really, and people can't stop talking.
Death Cafe is a great vehicle for us to openly have conversations around death which are positive and which kind of get rid of the taboos that a lot of people have around death. It helps to normalise death in society in a way that it should be normalised.
So, why is it important to come to terms with death?
We're all going to be facing death at some point, whether it's a significant other or a family member or the friend of a friend. Whenever we lose a significant loved one, that whole experience defines how we then go on with our lives afterwards. By embracing life now whilst we're living, when we're faced with those things, it'll be a lot easier for us to deal with.